Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today for what is the first Linkurious webinar. Today we're going to talk about Neo4j and graph visualization, why it's important to do that, and how to visualize your graph data with Linkurious. So let me share my screen. Oops. Just 1 second. Okay. Present. Okay, let's start. So Linkurious is a French startup specialized in graph visualization. Currently, we are 2.5 years old, and I'm a co-founder of Linkurious, where I'm in charge of sales and marketing. So if you're here today, you probably already know that graphs are everywhere. The popularity of graph databases has increased by 500% over the last 2 years. And we can see that through that graph. Of course, Neo4j is really leading this trend. The Neo4j database allows everyone to store and analyze graph data at scale. It's having a big impact for use cases like data center management, fraud detection, recommendation, medical research, and so on. Every day at Linkurious, we have about new customers who are using Neo4j to extract new value from the connections in their data. So what is graph visualization? Graph visualization is a technique which consists in looking at data in terms of nodes and edges. It's a very complementary approach to using Neo4j. Graph visualization gives people and organizations the ability to extract insights from their graph data. With traditional data visualization tools, you could, for example, look at the median age of your users or their geographic repartition. Using graph visualization helps you know about who your users are interacting with, what's their circle of influence, and the communities they belong to. I'd like to go over some use cases to explain why graph visualization is important. So first example, NASA is struggling to leverage its lessons learned database. So that database contains knowledge from past projects and could be used by project managers to avoid repeating past errors. The current search interface used at NASA revolves around the result list and doesn't help knowledge discovery. So for this reason, NASA is currently experimenting the use of graph visualization through Linkurious. The idea here is to help project managers navigate the complex relationships between concepts, documents, and offers in a more natural way. Let's go over another example. Linkurious also helped the ICIJ, the International Consortium of Data Journalists, investigate a project called SwissLeaks. The ICIJ was struggling to identify money launderers, tax evaders, corrupt politicians in a large data set coming from HSBC, a bank with a Swiss-based branch. For Linkurious, the data journalists were able to analyze complex financial records and identify persons of interest in that data set. The name of the persons they identified made the headlines of the New York Times, Le Monde in France, The Guardian in UK, and a lot of journals around the world. We also have customers like Elf Graphic, who are working who are using graph visualization as a way to create graph data. So, for example, Elf Graphic is mapping the health graph of diseases, symptoms, and their relationships. The ability to visualize data and create new nodes and edges allow them to trust doctors and medical professionals with data entry. These people who are not data savvy can quickly use graph visualization to create the complex data of the health graph. That mapping project would have been simply too complex using the Neo4j web interface or a traditional data visualization tool. Finally, there's a last important aspect of graph visualization. It's its ability to communicate insights. Some of the customers, for example, are managing large IT infrastructures. In that domain, graph visualization can help investigate an impact analysis, and even more importantly, it can help communicate that result clearly. Here, for example, I'm looking at the impact of a failure in my IT infrastructure, and I can visualize the impacted components in red. So what if your company wants to start using graph visualization to bring more value out of its data? There's a couple of options out there on the market. So first of all Neo4j users have access to an awesome browser. It's a powerful tool, but it's mostly designed for developers. There's also a few graph visualization libraries, including D3.js, Tom Sawyer, Keylines, or Linkure's own Linkus.js. Linkus.js is open source, high performance, and it has a flexible plugin architecture. These different libraries are great for custom projects, but the integration requires time and resources. Sometimes you just want an off-the-shelf solution. And unfortunately, the traditional data visualization tools are ill-equipped for graph visualization. There's no direct compatibility with Neo4j, and the interfaces are not optimized for graph data. That's why Linkus Enterprise comes in. It's the first out-of-the-box solution to search, explore, and visualize Neo4j data in a safe and collaborative way. So I'm going to give you a quick demo. Just 1 second. Oh. So here it is. Currently, I'm on the home screen of Linkus Enterprise. That's the place where, as a user, I can see the visualization I've created in the past, and I can start a new search. So yeah, one visualization, two visualizations. I created them in the past, but now I'm interested in launching a new search. So I'm currently connected to a Neo4j database that was indexed by Linkus, and now I can use the search bar to search it. So in my data, I have a map of the startup ecosystem. It contains startups, investors, cities, and markets, and we are going to explore it. So I'm going to type the name of a famous entrepreneur. I'm typing Elon Musk. I can see a bunch of results. The first one is the one I'm after, but I can scroll the different pages of results and see close results. Like for example, Sir Elton John here. I can also add everything that matches my query. But as I'm satisfied with the first result, I'm simply going to click on it. So here it is. Now we are looking at Elon Musk as a single node within a large graph. I'm zooming in. I click on Elon Musk, and now I can see a few information related to him. So the first one is that in green, I can see that he's an investor. So that's one of the entities in our data set. I can also see that he has a name, Elon Musk, a permalink, a picture, and a URL. So that's all the information associated with Elon Musk in our data set. So that's data which is currently in a Neo4j database, and I'm able to view it through Linkus. What's important here is that Elon Musk has connections. If you look closely, you will see next to the node that represents Elon Musk a little 11 number. That's the number of undisclosed connections of Elon Musk. I'm going to learn more about it by double-clicking on Elon Musk. So what I'm doing here is that I'm traversing the Neo4j graph in a visual and interactive way. Without having to type any cipher, I'm learning about the relationships of Elon Musk. So let's talk a little bit about that. I can see, for example, that Elon Musk is connected by an invested in relationship with Vicarious. I can click on Vicarious, and I can view in purple here that it's a company. So that's another type of entity in our data set. I can also see that it's located in the USA, that it has 4 funding rounds, and it has raised $72 million. So I'm learning about Vicarious. I can also inspect the relationship between Elon Musk and Vicarious by clicking on it. And I can view that Elon Musk poured $40 million in 2014 in the company. So it's very easy for me, simply by using my mouse to learn about the relationships and the entities in my data set. No need for that to have any background in graph theory. So I'm looking at my graph, and perhaps at this point I want to go a step further and explore the relationships of, say, SpaceX here. So I can double-click again, like I did when I double-clicked on Elon Musk, or I can select expand here. And if I hit expand, now I'm able to traverse the according to specific paths. Here, for example, I can get one as city relationship with one city, or I can get the one as market relationship with one market, or 9 invested in relationships with 6 investors. I'm able to explore the graph in a very controlled way. So I'm going, for example, to just get the one city relationship. And now I can view that SpaceX is connected to Orphan. If I want to, I can also double-click on Vicarious and see its data. And I'm able, as the data gets more complex, to use a few techniques to understand it. So the first one is that when I select a node, and here I'm selecting Peter Thiel, I can view that it has a red ring next to it. So that represents my current selection. I can view with the white halo what my current selection is connected to. So here I can view that Peter Thiel is connected to PayPal, to Vicarious, and to Stripe. So it's very easy for me to view that. And I'm going now to view or to slice and dice the data to make my visualization more relevant to me. So for that, I'm going to open up the design panel. So here it is, caption, design. In the design panel, I'm going to be able to filter my visualizations based on criterions that I care about. So what I see here are all the properties associated with my data. Vicarious has automatically detected them, and now I'm able to associate colors, associate sizes, and filter the data based on these properties. So for example, I can click on categories, and I can view that I've chosen to color my visualization based on the categories. So in green I have the investors, in purple the companies, and in orange the cities, in blue the markets. If I click on color here, I can change that parameter, and for example color my visualization based on the market. And now I'm able to distinguish between say the SpaceX, which is in blue for public transportation, and Stripe, which is in yellow for credit cards. So I can quickly change, the color association, and I can also choose to map numerical property with a size. So, for example, we saw earlier on that the startups, they have funding rounds, and if I click on that icon, on that size icon next to funding rounds, I'm now able to size my nodes based on the funding rounds property. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to increase the contrast between the smallest funding round and the biggest. And let's look at the results. I can view that SolarCity, for example, is much bigger than Mahalo, or is slightly bigger than PayPal. And based on that, I can deduct that SolarCity has done more funding rounds than Mahalo and PayPal. So I'm using these techniques to convey more information in the same, in the same space. But as I mentioned earlier, we can also slice and dice the data. So currently we have 2 cities and 1 market, and perhaps what we care about are just the companies and investors. So I'm going to its company, its investor. I'm going to its filter, and I've removed the cities and markets. So now my visualization is clear, and it's easier for me to interpret it. A filter has been added on the bottom of the screen, and if I click on it, I can remove it. I can also pile on filters. So if I want to, having filtered my data to focus on the startups and the investors, perhaps now I want to focus on a specific state. I can choose, to focus on the New York startups, and I'm hitting here the NY property. I'm hitting selects, and I'm able to quickly locate them. So there are two startups, but it's perhaps I don't want to select them. I want to filter them. So I'm going this time to select California. I'm going to hit filter, and we have removed the 2 New York-based startups. So what's interesting here is that as an end user, I can, in a very interactive fashion, without having to do any sort of programming, slice and dice data based on what's important for me. Of course, that interface is completely automatic. So if you plug in linkers into your data set, you will be able to filter your visualization based on the properties which are present in your data. What I've done with the nodes, I can also do it with the edges. And for example, perhaps I want to quickly identify which startups have raised the most money. And the best way for me to do that is to focus on the raised amount USD. So that's the amount the investors have poured into the startups. I'm going to associate that property with a color, and now I'm able to view with the clearest, let's say that, with the clearest links, like the one going from Elon Musk to SpaceX, which are the companies that have received the most money from investors. So it's very easy for me to do that kind of analysis. If I want to, I can also change, from one layout to another one. Currently, we are using a force-directed layout, but perhaps we want to identify a hierarchy. So we can click on the bottom right corner here and choose to move from the force-directed layout to perhaps a layout that will show you a hierarchy. So let's do that. And now we can view, we can better understand all the money flows. We can view all the investors at the bottom, and then a few startups at the top. Of course, if we were, to keep on exploring, perhaps double-clicking on PayPal, that picture would change a little bit, because we can view that PayPal has received money from Dutch Bank, but then that money has been distributed throughout the startup ecosystem and going to startups like Carn.io, Moneytree, Mfoundry, and so on and so on. So we can use that the different layouts to understand different aspects of the data. But let's go back to the force-directed layout. And we can view that Vicarious seems to have a very important position in the data set at the moment. At this point, I'd like to talk a little bit about the ability to search. We saw that it was possible to start an exploration through the search bar and then explore by using your mouse. It's also possible to do more advanced kind of searches. I'm going to hit the Find button, and then I have access to a search bar where I can search new data. So let's for example search Facebook. I can view that I have 36 pages of results and exactly 453 matches. If we want to narrow down our search, we can click Advanced here. And now we are able to specify which kind of label we are interested in. I can, look for a city called Facebook, no dice, or better yet, I can look for a company called Facebook. I can view that I've already have less results, and if I want, I can keep on, filtering my results by clicking options here, and now I'm able to filter my result based on the different properties associated with the companies in my dataset. So the companies in my dataset, they have a country, for example, and I could specify that I want a US startup, and I've yet again filter the data. I can also change the fuzzy matching to have very strict results or less strict results. But I'm satisfied with one of the results, which is Facebook right here. So I'm going to click on it, and it's directly added to my visualization. Oops, here it is. I can move it around, and let's put it right here. If we want, we can also search for paths. So I'm going to click on Find here, then Paths, and now I'm able to specify to find the shortest path between two items of my choice. So I'm going to choose item, Facebook, then a second one, let's say Elon Musk. Oops, that's the focus. I'm typing Elon Musk. I'm hitting shortest path, and now I can see the different shortest paths between my two entities. So the first one is going from Facebook to Peter Thiel to Vicarious, and then to Elon Musk. This one is going from Facebook to Goldman Sachs to PayPal to Elon Musk. So I can quickly grasp what's the connections between my two entities. So I can see that there's no direct connection, but there are indirect connections. I'm interested in the first one, so I'm going to click on it. And now I'm able to view that connection. So there's Facebook here, Peter Thiel here, Vicarious here, and then it's Elon Musk. So it's a bit of a journey, but Facebook and Elon Musk are connected through Vicarious and Peter Thiel. For for more advanced searches, you can also use the patterns menu. So I'm going to click here. And in the pattern menu, I'm able to type a Cypher query and save it and visualize it. And more importantly, visualize it. So let's type a query. I'm going to type something simple. So match A, return A, limit 5, sum basically returning 5 random nodes in my dataset. I preview results. I can see the results that I'm about to add. If I'm satisfied, I can add them all. They are added, but they do not appear as I have a filter on the categories. But if I remove the filter, now I can view them. So there's San Francisco here, there's New York here, oops, New York here, San Jose, Afon, and there's the last one here. Oops, here it is. So it's very easy for me to use Cypher to find patterns. So here I've showed you a very simple pattern, but with Cypher I can search for very specific results in terms of entities and connections, even in large data sets, and find it very quickly. Combined with the visual analysis capabilities of Linkerius, it's a very powerful way to extract insights from large data sets. So here we have seen how to explore data, or to slice and dice it, or to search data. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the ability to modify our data. So if I click on Edit Data, now I'm able to modify what I have in my database. The modifications I will do will be entered into my Neo4j database. So I'm going to it on Facebook, for example, the property here. And if I want, now I can change the country of Facebook, and perhaps say that it's Canadian company. If I think it's true, I hit save, and my change is done. Or perhaps I want to remove that last funding property. Simply hit delete, and I will be able to change it. I can also add a property by hitting add property, or a label, by hitting that plus button. It's very easy for me to do that. If I want, I can also not only modify an existing node, but add a new one. So I'm going to do a right click, and now I can view that I can add a new node or new edge, all through a visual interface. So let's click on add a new node. I'm adding a company. Let's give it a name property. Give it a name, Linkerius, for example. Let's add it to our database. Here it is. I now have a Linkerius entity in my data. If I'm not satisfied with it, I can simply delete it. So it's very easy for me to create data. After interacting with the data for a while, perhaps we have found something that's worth communicating to other people. In that case, there's a couple of options in Linkerius to share a visualization. So if I click on menu here, then go to export this visualization, I'm able to export a data file first, including in the Excel format, or in a CSV format, or in a Gephi format. So different formats to export the data for further processing in other tool. I can also export a picture, and I can change its resolution based on what's important for me, and I can export in PNG format or in SVG format. It's very straightforward to do that. In one click, I can export to a picture or to a file. And if I want to, I can also share my visualization. I hit share here, and then I simply have to type the name of one of my colleagues. So let's, for example, share that visualization with Jane. So I'm typing her name. She's added to the document, and I'm going to go ahead and give her the right to modify the data. I'm hitting add, and now Jane not only is able to access my visualization next time she opens up Linkurious Enterprise, but she will also be able to modify it. So if she adds more nodes to the visualization, change the color, change the sizes, move around the nodes and edges, all of that, it will be changed, and I will see that change next time I open up the visualization. So it's a very powerful way to communicate insights directly through the interface of Linkurious in a very interactive way. Okay, I'm satisfied, so I'm going to go ahead and hit close. When I'm done, I can go back to my dashboard. The visualization I created just now is here. I can give it a new name. So let's call it Elon Musk, for example. And I can, open it up again next time I connect to Linkurious Enterprise, or I can, share it with someone else or delete it, and so on and so on. So that's the visual interface of Linkurious Enterprise. It helps people who are not necessarily data scientists search and extract insights in large graphs. There's also administration panel in Linkurious Enterprise through which it's possible to manage the security of the data. I'm going to show you how it works. So here, I'm able to specify the location of my Neo4j database and of my Elasticsearch instance. We automatically package Elasticsearch, so there's no installation needed. But you can specify in this interface the address of your own Elasticsearch if you want to. You can also change the address of your Neo4j instance, and you can even connect to multiple Neo4j instances and switch from one to another one through the interface of Linkurious. I'm also able, in the user part of the admin panel, to view and manage who has access to the application. So here I can view that 3 persons are allowed to use Linkurious. So we have Jane Doe, and I can view that she's an admin. And if I open up the admin account, I can view that Jane, as an admin, is allowed to send Cypher queries to the graph and to read and to write data. She's also able to read and write all the entities and relationships in my data set. So I'm going to close the admin section. And then we have John Smith and Paul Brown, and both are analysts. And if I open up the analyst panel, I can view that they have different rights. So they're not allowed to use Cypher. So if they open up the application, they won't be able to run any Cypher queries. And they're allowed to view the cities, companies, investors, and markets, but not allowed to make any modifications. Same thing for the edges. They can view them all, but are not allowed to make changes. And if I want to, I can change that. And perhaps I don't want my analysts to view the city relationships, and I don't want them to view the cities. So it's just a matter of doing a few clicks, and I can manage the access level. In the background, we are also compatible with LDAP, through which we can help you authenticate your users and make sure that the right people are accessing Linkurious Enterprise. So it's a powerful way to explore and extract insights from your data, but it's also safe and secure. Okay, I'm going to stop the demo and go back to my presentation. Hope that I've explained the different benefits of Linkurious. There are basically three big big things that all customers appreciate with the product. First one is that it's very easy to deploy. You install it on a server alongside a Neo4j instance, and it automatically provides you a web interface, which is highly customizable, for which, as we have seen, it's possible to search, explore, and extract insights from graph data. It's also very, let's say that it's also providing a way to improve analysis. The business analysts, while using the tool, find that it's very easy to use and helps them find answers in complex data. And finally, the decision makers appreciate the fact that they can get new insights from their data, but they also appreciate the fact that they don't have to build and maintain a custom solution to obtain that benefit. So I mentioned earlier on the architecture of Linkurious Enterprise. It's an on-premise solution. So when you buy the tool, you get an archive that you can install on a server within your organization. It will connect to the Neo4j API to index it and to make calls to explore the graph. And it provides a web interface to your users. It can be used through a simple web browser, including Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, and all modern browsers. It's important to know that some of our customers have more complex architecture. So, for example, the Neo4j database can be connected to another database, perhaps a legacy database like a MySQL database or Hadoop database. Some calculations, some computations can also be done on external systems like Spark or dedicated dedicated data warehouse. And sometimes Linkurious is not the only application that's connected to Neo4j and can sit alongside a few other applications. If you want to know more, here is a couple of links. You can try the demo of Linkurious for yourself at linkurious.us/try. You can also learn more about the features and specifications of Linkurious on a website by going to linkurious.us/product or by linkurious.us/product/docs. You can download Linkurious.js on GitHub, and you can learn more about it on linkurious.us/toolkit. And finally, you can buy a license now with a credit card by going to the website. It's linkurious.us/product #plans.